Hi guys, this week's theme is landscapes. Now there's lots of different landscapes that you can do. You could draw the view from your window. You might have an image at home from a magazine or a photo that you've taken from a previous holiday or a picture online that you could work from. Or of course, you can do what I'm going to do today and just completely make one up. So depending on what materials you've got at home, use whatever drawing materials you've got to hand, whether that be pens, pencils, paints, or even of course something like scrap fabric or collage can make a really lovely landscape. So speaking of fabric, this was just made out of scraps. So all you would need is a bit of scrap fabric to work on as your base, and then just cut your fabric into the appropriate shapes. This one was just strips. Figure out where you want the pieces to go, pin them into place and just stitch through. I did very simple stitches, so nothing elaborate. Okay, and that works just as well with collage. Of course you can stick to like monochrome and just use pencils and biros, which are just like black and white and greys. Or of course, if like me you like lots of colour, you could do something really colourful and abstract like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna make one up today. So I'll be using lots of different materials that I've got at home just to show you the different things that you can do, but use whatever materials you feel more comfortable with and what you've got access to at home. So I'm thinking rolling hills. So I'm just gonna quickly start off with lots of hills. And I like lots of colour, so I'm just gonna, if you don't like bits, you can just add a bit more water to these kind of watercolour paints. It's a bit grey outside, so I might just add a nice big sun. And there's lots of different colours that you can find in the landscape. Greens, browns, purples. And it doesn't matter if you just want to add a couple of extra as well. Add a nice purple. Of course, it doesn't have to be like a landscape of rolling kind of hills or mountains. It could be of the beach or a nice seascape or a townscape, lots of buildings and skyscrapers, a bit like New York, whatever you want to. And it's okay just to add whatever colours you want. It doesn't have to be the sky is blue and the grass is green. You can just add whatever colours you want to. And you can just keep on working in. It's okay if paint runs. I'm just showing you very quickly what you can do. So that's a bit of paint, but I, just mix it up. I might want to use some colour and pencils. So with any kind of landscape, you've got the foreground, which is what is closest to you. You could see a lot more detail in the foreground. You've obviously got the middle ground and you've got the background, which is kind of the furthest away. But there's no right or wrong, just do whatever feels right. I might want to add a few felt tips, let's go for it. Add a few trees. Just gonna go for it. So in the foreground, I might just want to have just a few flowers. Let's do it over here. Things don't necessarily have to be in proportion. Just do whatever feels right. And just use whatever materials you've got at home. I would say though that if you are going to paint, I would recommend that you work on like a thick piece of paper or card. If you use really thin paper, then there is just a chance that the water and the paint would just seep through. Okay, but of course you can, whatever paint you use, maybe something like acrylic would work really well on cardboard. So you can raid your recycling bin. That's what I always do anyway. So it's really nice when the paint can kind of merge into one another. It's a bit kind of atmospheric. And of course you can have, maybe I might have a little building. Maybe right at the top. Kind of overlooking the valley. Door, windows. You would maybe have a nice kind of winding. There's lots online that can teach you about perspective and the way things kind of should look if they're coming towards you or going away from you. A bit more to the sun. So I'm doing this at a little bit of an angle. That's okay. It's all about the process and just losing yourself for a little bit into your work. It's okay if things drip. I think it looks quite cool. Okay, so my trees are looking a little bit stark. So what you can do is you can add a little bit of collage on the top. So you can use nice bits of paper. I think paper or card that is shiny can be quite difficult to work into further if that's what you wanted to do. But feel free to use whatever you've got at home. Even something like an old gardening magazine, you get some nice kind of different greens and lots of lovely texture in those. But I'm going to use maybe. So I've already just cut out some very kind of simple kind of shapes for trees, so I might just stick those. They're a little bit big, that's okay. As I said, it doesn't really matter about perspective. What does that look? You can rip or you can, yeah, let's just go for it. I've got my glue stick. Just going to add a little bit of collage. It just adds a little bit of texture to your work. But of course you can stick, just like the fabric example, you can just add strips or whatever and just work over the top if you wanted to. Just add a little bit of, and even if you make a mistake, you can always cover it with a bit of collage, that's okay. So I did quite like seeing the branches. I'm just going to add them in again. You can add sheep, little houses, roads, whatever you want to, and just keep adding. There you go. Go over my roof. A bit wonky, but that's okay. And just keep adding. You can work at whatever size you want to. And then make lovely pictures to frame. And just have a bit of a play with whatever materials you got at home. Don't necessarily matter about the end result. Sometimes it's just about the process. And then just the last finishing touch. I just done a few birds in the sky. Very small. Okay guys, so there you have it. Try giving it a go and see what happens.